What if you're already on Medicaid and your house is paid for? Can you get a ladybird deed? Absolutely, and you should. So you can still get a ladybird deed and do different types of estate planning if needed while you are on Medicaid. And one of the reasons getting a ladybird deed in place is so important, and I said this in my other video, is because you don't want the possibility of Medicaid trying to make a claim against your property after you pass away. This is something that is possible. So to prevent this, you want to keep it out of your probate estate. Your probate estate is your assets that are going to go through the court system after you die, unless they either list a beneficiary on them or they are part of a trust. So that's another thing you can do, is make sure you have beneficiaries on your bank accounts or any other accounts. But the ladybird deed is a way to list the beneficiary on your real property, which is often one of our most valuable assets. So especially when it's paid off, when you have a house that you own free and clear or that just has a small mortgage on it, you absolutely want to make sure that you keep that property out of probate, especially if you're planning on giving it to a non-family member and it wouldn't be treated as homestead. But either way, it's going to be beneficial to keep it out of probate. Paying for a ladybird deed is going to be a lot less expensive than what someone is going to have to pay to go through the probate process in order to inherit the home. And oftentimes, one of the things we see in our office, which is so unfortunate, is people can't afford probate, and family members will live in the home for years and years and years. And then some of them die and another generation is in the home and then they die. True story. We had a probate for a homestead one time where the original owner of the home passed away in the 1940s, and property was just sitting there, never had gone through a probate. Now that's obviously a very dramatic example, but even 5-10 years can make a difference, and it can add probate onto probate, meaning if the home was supposed to go to a child who's long since deceased, but they had a child and they had children, and just goes on and on and on. It makes things very complicated, and sometimes it requires tons of probates. So you want to stay out of that mess completely, avoid it as much as you can. And a good way to avoid this is to make sure that you talk to an elder law attorney or a real estate attorney, estate planning attorney in your area, and get a ladybird deed put together so your home can go directly to whoever you want it to go to upon your passing. Now, one more thing I want to mention, this was in my other video, the homestead, up to $731,000 in equity for a single person is excluded for Medicaid purposes, meaning you can have a home and have equity in a home up to $731,000, and you don't have to have that count against you, or it doesn't count against you for Medicaid application purposes. You're allowed to have that asset even if you aren't living in the asset. The key though is you have to have the intent to return. So if this is your home solely, you're not married, but you're now in either an ALF or nursing care, as long as you can exhibit the intent to return to the home, then it will still be considered your homestead. And again, if the home itself isn't worth more than $731,000, or the equity that you own in the home isn't worth more than that, and the equity is the fair market value of the home minus any loan that you might owe, like a mortgage. So that's the number that they're looking at, the equity for a single person. Can't be more than $731,000. If it isn't, you can keep that home as long as you're able to, even if you are in an ALF or a nursing home, so long as there's the intent to return. So Florida Homestead Property, an amazing asset. It's the most protected asset in the United States. So you want to do what you can to protect it and preserve it for future generations, or anyone who you're close to and you want to make sure they get the benefit of your property, especially when we work so hard to purchase these properties, pay them off, and maintain them. All right, I hope this answered your question. If there's any other questions that relate to Medicaid or estate planning or probate and you're in Florida, don't hesitate to reach out to our office. We're atCAUSE Law Office, the non-stuffy attorneys, and the link is in my bio.